everyone, it's Sam here, and today I'm going to have a play with these new embossing folders. I'm going to just show you some fun techniques. You don't need these particular folders, you can use embossing folders you have in your stash, but these are the new 3D embossing folders from Creative Craft Products. This is the first time they've done 3D embossing. Well, actually they did do slimline, but this is definitely the first time they've done 5x7. Got a beautiful sunflower background. You've got this ink splat. I've got a nice idea for that one. You've got Busy Bees, which is cute. One with the hearts there. You've got your floral leaf trail. And then you've got your barcode and stars, which is a bit different. So I'm going to get everything set up and then I can show you some fun techniques. So I'm going to use this one first because, like I said, I've got a fun idea for this. So I've cut myself a piece of card that's big enough. And now, because these are 3D, you will need to play around with the sandwich, and everybody's machines obviously are different. Okay, so I have a little play around, and for me, the chrome plate and the magnetic base plate has worked, and you can see there, it's embossed that perfectly. So this is a lot more dimensional. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz this with water, and then where the splats are, I want to add different coloured inks. So I've got, these are the Creative Craft Products, although that one's from Paper Craft Society, they are the same. But they're all different colours. So we've got pinks, oranges, got green, I think there's a red one, or there's a like bluey purple there. And I just want to see how it reacts. Now this is a 300 GSM, so it's a thick cardstock. Because I'm adding a lot of water, I'm not going to kind of play with it too much. If you've got watercolour card, then you might want to do that instead. So I'm just going to give it just a light spritz and just see, because I don't want it to travel too far. What I might do is dry it in between each colour, because I don't really want them to muddy. I'd like them to stay quite vibrant. So just couple of drops. Let's just see. Oh wow. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's so cool. Right, I'm going to dry that and then I'm going to do a few more. Now I want to keep the pen free from any colour because I might lightly brush it over with some black ink so that really pops. Okay, I'm not too worried about the warping because it's all going to be stuck down onto a card, so that will soon flatten out. So then it's still a bit wet over here, so let's go up in this corner. And I think I might add some green. If I stick with maybe greens, yellows, pinks, and like purples, I think that would look quite cool. Again, just the tiniest. That was a small drop, I thought, so I don't want to go any bigger than that really, because that covered a lot of space. There we go. That's nice. It's a little bit smaller. So again, I'm going to dry that, and I'm going to repeat that process. So I'm going to try and stay away from the pen, and yeah, see how we go. So that's all the colours. When I dried them, I then spritzed them lightly again just to let more of the colour kind of bleed. But I just felt I've got a bit more control that way, and it's kept all those colours really vibrant. I then just went over the raised areas of that pen using a fine liner here. This is just an old one from my stash. Now what I want to do is highlight the embossed areas some more, and I want to, the nib of the pen here, I'd like to make that gold. So I've just got some, these are just like luster polishes. These are really old, but you know, there's all different ones that you can get. I think actually that one's probably a little bit more of an eye-catching gold, and it's the one I've used the most now. It doesn't help when you've got nails, but I'm going to try and I'm going to take some out. There we go. It's going to be a bit easier, and you just want to load it up. You might want to use a brush, but with my finger, I've got more control to very lightly. I just want to kiss those raised areas of all the splats. Okay, so now hopefully when it catches the light, can you see that lovely shine? It just picks up that design a bit more. And then if you want to go even, you know, more shiny, if you've got any sprays, but be careful because this might react again with your inks, very lightly. Again, you probably won't really be able to see this. Oop. I'm just going to quickly heat set that. Now if I hold it up again when it catches the light, look at all that detail. It looks brilliant. Really, really like this one. So I'm going to cut them all down at the end, pop them onto the card blanks and add the sentiments so you can see them all finished at the end. Okay, so I've just next embossed this one and just look at the detail. Isn't that stunning? Absolutely gorgeous. Now I've seen this technique going around at the moment and it's known as the blackout technique. So with this one you're going to flip your image over and I'm going to colour this in using my alcohol markers and then we're going to black out the background. So we're going to be using the reverse side, but it works particularly well on 3D embossing folders because you have that depth. So when you're going to rub this over with black ink at the end, it will just touch those higher surfaces and it will leave your coloured image. But again, you can really see all that dimension. This one would look really nice with that technique that I just did with the inks, using like browns in the centres, and then you could have all the yellow just kind of bleeding out. I think that would look really nice. I think I'm going to colour these not sunflower colours. I think they're sunflowers. Is that what this one said? Yeah, sunflower background. I'm going to just do different colours, I think. Pinks and yellows probably. They're my favourites. So using the Craft Stash or Creative Craft Products inks, and again just going to pair my favourite colours together. Once I've decided the colours I will tell you them all at the end, because I know lots of you like to use the colours that I do. So I'm going to get this all coloured in. Okay, so I just coloured it all in. Now don't worry about going over the edges. You really want to get your colour in all of the gaps. So don't worry if it bleeds out anywhere, because you're going to brush over all of those raised edges with your black ink. Or a dark ink, you want something that's going to be able to cover, like I said, those marks. But you could use greys, you could use a deep navy. So, you know, definitely play around. It doesn't have to be black ink. Now the colours I've used for the pink flowers, I used 6 and 125. For the turquoise flowers, I use 61 and 179. For the yellow, so the centres, I used 44 and 33. And then for the purples, I used 83 and 75. Okay, and they are all from the Creative Craft Products alcohol marker set. Now, I've not tried this before, but I'd recommend a nice, juicy black ink pad if you're using black. Now I know my VersaFine is new, so I think I'm going to go for that one. And you literally want to brush it right across. I'm going to trim it all down afterwards, and the idea is that it will miss all of those debossed areas and it will only hit on the raised parts. So let's give it a go. Oh, I like that. See, that looks nice, just lightly brushed. It's, you know, it's lifted those flowers and shown all the detail, but I do want to get some more detail in there, and I really want to make sure that I basically want to get rid of all of that white, but just keep the application light. Don't go heavy-handed. So I'm just going over each flower. I find just focusing on each one for the detail easier. And then any white is debossed, so that there, is that debossed? Oh no. Oh, I think it is. You can see they're just going into each one. It means you can really pull out that detail in each flower. This is amazing. I love doing these kind of techniques. Like, I know it's a replay, but do it like filming it live. That is so good. I'm really impressed with that. Like I said, I've seen a lot of videos on Instagram, and sometimes you don't know if they're going to come out as well as they make it look, but that is brilliant. That is really, really good. Oh, I might add a little bit more on there. Like I said, I just want to get rid of all of that white frame. But you saw how nice it looked just with that light brushing, so you don't even have to, you know, go over it as much as I have. But that is how easy the blackout technique is. Now you could as well go over again with some of your, you know, your waxes and just slightly like buff some areas, but I'm going to keep that just as it is. Once the sentiment's added, I think that's going to look really nice. And then just where I think I have missed, there's a little spot there. So I'm just going to add a little bit of colour into that one. And they're going to be snipped away, so I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to clean up now. My hands are going to be filthy by the end of this video. But yeah, so far, this is a favourite. Okay, so for the next technique, I've always wanted to try this, and I remember Helen Griffin shared it. I don't know who she got it from, whether it was her idea, and it's called the black ice technique. And I think that could look quite nice with this folder, which is the Busy Bees. So this one I'm going to emboss using gold mirrored card. So I've actually embossed this one with the fabric paper. This is the gold finish. Thought it'd be quite nice to see what that looks like. So you can see all the detail there. I love the honey drips along the top. That should come out quite nice actually. So all then you do with this one, it's a really simple, quite quick technique, is you brush it, but you need it to be, you want to see kind of like this, the swipe marks, so it looks like black ice. Again, I'm hoping that I do this correctly. So you kind of just want to just come in from like different corners. I think you might need more of a flat surface area for you to see it, like in the middle here. It's kind of working though, it's giving the effect, but it's supposed to look like black ice. Like I said, we're trying here. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to make it look great. Definitely YouTube black ice technique. I can see it though. Maybe this folder wasn't the best one to try that on, but can you see it like here? It's meant to look like it does. Look at Helen's, because that's the one, her thumbnail is really good on YouTube, and she's got a silver background. Maybe I needed to use silver as well. But that's kind of all it is from what I can remember. I must admit, I've not looked at it properly. I'm wondering whether stays on. I shouldn't contaminate the inks, but I think a stays on also may have been better, purely because this is a textured surface and that's a water-based ink that I've just used. So actually, let's just do a quick experiment. If I put rubbing alcohol on this, it should just completely wipe off, because yeah. So let's try it again with stays on and just see if that just sticks a bit better. This is a bit of an older pad, but it should still. Yeah, it's definitely sticking better, but it's a bit dry, but maybe that's a good thing. Oh, I always love the smell of stays on, that almond smell. Yeah, it's getting more of that kind of brush effect. Can you see it in the corner there? I mean, it does look really cool against the mirrored card, but I'd say maybe try it with silver. See, that looks quite good down in that corner there. But that is, it's sticking. It's not, the versifier I noticed was kind of bubbling. It wasn't really sticking to the surface. Now that is going to take a little bit longer to dry. But yeah, that's kind of all it is. But look on YouTube, like I said, and see how it looks against the silver. But I think once the sentiment's on that, it's still going to give me a nice background. It's definitely got a great, you can see, you just want it to just see how it slightly just kind of kisses the corners of the hexagons there. So you don't want full coverage. You need, the idea is that you get that kind of brush finish in all different directions. See, this looks good here. You see how it's kind of going that way. So again, I'll get this cut down, and once the sentiment's on, we'll see how that one looks. Right, next I think I'm going to use the Floral Leaf and Trail, and I want to use the inks again, but this time we're going to use it in more of a, I guess, traditional way. So we're going to keep the embossed image facing us, and my idea is that, let's use some of these nice pinks. If I drop the ink in, like in the centres, it'd be really dark, and then kind of like dilute it out. I'm not sure if I'm going to use water with this technique, because I want that real intense kind of colour around the roses. We'll do green on the leaves, but I want to keep again this very white so I can have the sentiment. But again, I want to make sure that I can keep this as white as possible, so that then I've, you know, the sentiment will pop. Okay, so again, the reveal, lots and lots of dimension. Again, this is a really good example of that 3D finish. So yeah, so I'm hoping the colour should stay within these sections. Just brought the camera down a bit closer there. So I think maybe I'll do like reds and pinks. You have to hold them up to the light so you can see. So I think that's more, that's an orange. We'll see anyway, it doesn't matter. Right, so tiny amount. And again, I might add some of the wax on top. It's just the 3, isn't there? Yeah. So I think probably I'm going to have to add a little bit of water so it reacts. Ah, there we go. There we go. Just a little bit. I'm going to dry it in between. And just kind of let it do its thing first of all. I mean, if it comes all out, that will still look beautiful. I think once the gold wax is kind of kissing the tops of it, it will look cool. But can you see a different, you can see what I'm trying to do, just keep it, there we go, it's a bit better. Oh, when I get spray happy now. No, that's okay. I think we can go with that. Try and get a little bit more over that side, there we go. As long as the main colour is within those 3. To have a bit more control with the leaves, I've just sprayed some water just on my mat here, and I've got a brush, and I'm just going to brush the water onto the leaves. Then I'm going to add just a little drop of the green onto my mat. So again, hopefully it's just showing you just some other ways that you can actually use, you know, your inks. You know, you don't just have to just drop them down onto the paper. You can use them to just kind of paint. Yeah, I think this is going to look quite nice actually. Again, I'm kind of not learning because I've done lots of these things over the years, but I would say maybe just paint the rose with the water like I did for the leaves, and that way you've kind of got it just where you want it. But quite happy now with how this is coming together. Okay, so I've finished that, and then again, so I'll keep the camera close so you can see. Take that bit out again there. So you can see now how it looks with the gold. And then I'm going to go in with this one again. It's the biscotti colour. It's so old, and I've had it a long, long time. But sometimes adding like splats when you've got quite a lot of white space looks quite nice as well. So more of a grungy look. So I'm just going to heat set that. Okay, so again, just hold it up to the light. I mean, this is very grungy. I'm definitely experimenting. I think I like the finish of the leaves, so maybe I should have gone with that on the roses, just so they were a little bit more contained, I'd say. But you can still, I love all of the texture there. I do love all of the detail that you can see there. Something quite It almost looks like wax, like a mould. So I do like it still. I think once these are on the card blanks and they've got the sentiments on, I'm going to add some like Nuvo drops maybe and things like that, just to kind of bring it all together. Okay, so before I emboss it, I've done this technique before, but I'm going to use my inks on the folder. So I've got my favourite trio of colours here, and what this will do is all of the image will be white, but the background will be coloured. So you want to do this on the deboss side, not the emboss side. So if you can feel the design, that's not the side you want to work on. You want to work on the side where they're all dipped in, you know, it's debossed. And I think I'm going to just do maybe some swipes. You know, you don't tend to see the colour too much. You might think, oh, it's not very strong. It does transfer and it's vibrant. And then I'm going to use with the orange, just kind of blend them in. I'm going to have my sentiment in the middle where the yellow is, and then finish with the, so those colours are Squeezed Lemonade, Carved Pumpkin, and then Picked Raspberry. You want to keep it flat, so you're just keeping the colour on the top part. Okay, and then I'm going to drop my cardstock onto this side and then drop that one down, and now run that through your machine. And then for the reveal, oh, it slipped a little bit. Hopefully, there we go. This is one of my favourite, I think, effects to do with embossing folders. And now what you can do is with your water, because these are reactive inks, if you don't want the lines like they are, give it a spritz. I don't want to lose the white hearts. And I've just got some, there's actually some toilet roll because it was what was at hand. Just making sure I don't transfer any colours. Just blot off any of that moisture. And it just takes away the harshness of the lines, but it also gives you another nice effect. So you could just do it all in one colour if you wanted to. Don't have to mix the colours. I'm just going to give that a quick blast with my heat gun. Okay, and again, you could go over this with any of your waxes, sparkle paste, anything like that. But it's just another fun technique, especially if you just want to focus on the background being coloured, but the actual embossed image staying white, or whatever colour you might have used for your card. But I think once the sentiment's in the middle of that, it's going to look really nice on a card blank. So for the last card, I've got the stars and barcode embossing folder, and I'm going to use my alcohol inks. Now, I have never used these. I got these for Christmas 2 years ago. It'll be 3 years this Christmas, and I've never used them, and that's so bad. So I've got the blending solution, and then I've got all these different colours, and I've got the little pipettes here as well. I've seen enough videos to kind of know how they work, so I'm going to trim this down, get this embossed with this detail. And I thought I could create a bit of a galaxy kind of style, so that some of this silver comes through, and then the alcohol inks hopefully will work. So get this embossed first. Okay, and again the reveal. And you can see they're so dimensional. They look really, really cool. This reminds me a little bit of like the scene in Interstellar. If you've seen it, then you probably know what I mean. That is really cool. I love that one. So get my mat down, because I definitely don't want there to be any spillages. Now for colours, I'm going to go for pinks, although that says peach. Let me just choose some colours. So again, I don't want this to muddy, so I'm just going to go for all of like the lighter colours and then maybe see where we go with that. So first of all, let's try this grape. I'm just going to add a few drops just to kind of get that going, and then pop a little bit of the blending solution. That's just going to spread this out. Oh, it's dripped, not where I want it. It's not coming out. Is it coming out the side of the bottle? It's not a good start. There we go. This is just going to help. In fact, I could add a few more drips. Yeah, it's coming out the side of the bottle, so that's not helping. And let's try, this is lemon. Mix that one in a little bit. There we go, get some nice oranges there. So I'm just going to keep dropping in colours. You can heat set this, or you can let it dry on its own. Okay, so I've done that. I haven't quite got the design that I wanted. I should have done the alcohol ink first and then embossed it, because it kept curving like the cardstock and it was just kind of going off in any direction it wanted. But I've still created a just messy, grungy kind of background there. But what I'm going to do, just to try and still make it look a little bit like a galaxy, is I like to splat some of this over the top so it looks like stars. So you just take a little acrylic block. I like to put a little bit of water on there and then just grab some of this. You need a little bit. This is, sorry I didn't say, it's Dr. P.H. Martin's. It's the bleed proof white, but it stays opaque, which is why it's so good for this. Lots of people use it. Just gonna put that on there. Still want it kind of thick but runny enough that I can flick it onto the card. And then depending on what height and your brush, you'll get kind of different size droplets. Just make sure I've got nothing else. And this is what I think really does turn, you know, if you're creating that galaxy space, this really does finish it off nicely. So I'm quite mad with that. You see now, like especially around these parts, I mean, I've gone really over the top, but it does give a really cool effect. So just leave that now to air dry. So there's the finished card. It's funny because once I started putting all these on the card blanks, adding the sentiments, I ended up loving them all. I think sometimes when you just make the background or the embossed image, whatever it is you're doing, you might not always be that happy with it, but once you then dress it up, you can really transform them. For example, this one, I wasn't massively keen with the way this came together, purely because I just didn't get that kind of galaxy look that I was going for. However, now that I've added this sentiment, cut it down, it's got that nice border, you know, you see the little embossed stars and the lines there. I've added these little stars as well. This lovely topper, which I've used the same silver. And I just think the whole thing has come together really nicely. You can see the white splats there as well. So I'm really, really pleased with that one. I've also ended up really liking this one because it isn't really my style, that grungy, roses, things like that. It's not something you see me do. However, now that I've added it to the card with that lovely celebrate sentiment in the middle, I've also added some of my accent glaze, just some little bubbles there. And I think it's come together really nice. The other one, the black ice, what I've done with this one is I've just added some of the glaze into just a few of the hexagons. So these are dimensional, so it's a real tactile card. Again, I like the effect it's given, and I just think it shows off that embossed design really nicely. All of the sentiments that I've used are from my Made to Surprise range. So I've got these lovely big sentiments here, these big dies with the stamps, and then I've also used this one along with this set here, which is all the sentiments, which were these ones here. Again, they'll all be linked below. This one here I turned into a retirement card. And again, now it's all like framed. I think it looks really nice. This one, really pretty. I just cut some more little hearts and added these little gold ones as well. Mixing golds and silvers I really like, and it does work. And then this one here. So I added just a few these little faceted gems, and then the sentiment there, life is a series of obstacles preventing me from crafting. So I hope you've enjoyed this video from me today, showing you some just fun ways to use embossing folders. It doesn't have to be 3D embossing folders, but also just some fun techniques, because a lot of these, you don't even need the embossing folder. For example, the alcohol inks, that's just a fun, you know, just have some messy play one afternoon. I mean, my hands are now covered in inks. This one here, you can just do, you know, you don't have to emboss the card. You could just swipe that black ink over any kind of mirrored card. This here were just your different tones of the inks there and adding the water. And again with this one, you know, just get some watercolour card and have some fun with it. But it's been, yeah, really nice to sit down and just have a little bit of playtime with all of my products and things that I've got in my craft room, especially those alcohol inks, which I am going to be using again. I think I'm going to use them during a Facebook Live. So if you're over on Facebook, follow my Mixed Up Craft page, and then you catch me live on a Wednesday and a Friday. All of the products, like I said, have been that I've used will be linked in the description box below. You can also find them by clicking on the link here. That will take you to Craft Stash. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, because that way you won't miss out on any future videos. And coming up here, I'll have all of my embossing folder technique, or just embossing folder videos, because there's a few now. So you can go and check them out if you want a bit more inspiration. See you all again soon. Bye.